What's going on, guys? It's your boy Manny here with Yellow Tape DFS, here to give you my take on Week 8 of the NFL for the Monday Night Football Showdown of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New York Giants. Now, this game, it has a decent implied total. It's about, I think it was at 46 the last time I looked. It's looking like Tampa roughly 30-16. When you take a look at things like that, when you're considering your captain spot, people that graded out in projection-wise, Tom Brady was doing well on points. Mike Evans, where he does get Bradbury coverage, it's Mike Evans. He's going to get a ton of targets. And then another thing that I do know about the Giants is their run defense is actually not that terrible, but what they have been doing has been giving up to catching backs, which allows me to like Leonard Fournette. Now, Leonard Fournette outproduced and outtouched Ronald Jones in Week 7. Now, if you expect to see this similar type of response from the coaching staff and Bruce Arians, then, I mean, this guy is great. His price is great. Salary at $6,200. He's priced down where Brady's at. Brady is at $12,000, and then you have Mike Evans at $10,800. All right, so for the sake of the video, let's just say we were putting in Leonard Fournette as captain, right? And then Tom Brady, based off of the grading scale, Fournette is a catching back. It correlates well. All right, number one. We'll just talk about that guy. So Tom Brady, I think that obviously everything is depending on how you feel that the game plays out, game script, right? Tom Brady was showing himself off a little bit last week, and he's probably wanting to continue that trend. There's been a lot of naysayers, and against a terrible Giants defense, I don't see any better way than to allow him to thrash out. Now, Mike Evans, once again, against Bradbury in the coverage department, where it is a shadow coverage and it's a tough matchup, it's not as bad because it's Mike Evans. Mike Evans is essentially matchup-proof, and without Chris Godwin on the field, this guy happens to accelerate even more. Now, Chris Godwin didn't play in Weeks 2, 4, and 5. Look at his production, 26, 28, 15. Let's look at his target shares. So 9, 8, and 10. So you can drastically see the difference when Chris Godwin is off the field. All right, so expect roughly double-digit targets from Mike Evans in tonight's game. Now, if we want to go to basically off of coverage, straight coverage of the game, I will tell you that Scotty Miller is in the best spot of the receiving end against the Giants. But at 8,600, he does seem a little pricey. But with a game, if he has a game like last week, who cares about the price tag, right? So at that price, I'm going to reduce my exposure to him because of the price point. But once again, this is a showdown. You can't really fade anybody unless you're playing one lineup. Okay, if you're going to play one lineup, then I suggest going with the more sure bets. Now, with Shepard back on the field, I do believe that Slayton gets a reduction on target share, right? But Shepard is on the field 100% of the time and does get his fair share of volume. So I do like Shepard here more than I like Slayton. When it goes down to the best matchup, however, Golden Tate is in the best spot. Now, at $3,000, if he does get a few targets to pay off that price point, let's say you get 4 targets at 40 yards. 4 targets, 40 yards. You've already paid your tag off and then some, because you're only looking at roughly, 2x when it comes to showdowns? So this almost seems like a free square to me, to be honest with you, as far as plugging in this guy at 3K. His matchup is insane, and it does give you a lot of room if you want to play any of the bigger studs. So I just put him in there for a second. Now, Evan Ingram. Now, this guy is an athlete and a half, okay? His target share is always there. The problem is Daniel Jones doesn't get enough time in the pocket to allow Evan Ingram to try to go down the field and get some of these miraculous catches and get these advantageous yards for him to have a great fantasy output. If that O-line can ever do anything, then this guy would explode in production. I'm not writing him off. I'm just going to say I'm going to limit my exposure to this guy as well. All right. But I would say between, obviously outside of Daniel Jones, because quarterbacks are going to get points, especially on a one-game slate, I do think Shepard is the other option for me. So between Shepard, Tate, I don't mind Gallman. Gallman does get catches out of as a running back. All right, he did get 5 targets last game, caught all 5, and had 10 attempts. So he had 15 touches, went for 16 against Philly. Now I know Tampa is not anywhere in comparison to Philly as far as defense is considered, but Tampa also, like the Giants, has been giving up air yards to running backs and not ground yards. And ground yards, I think they're holding people at less than like 50 yards in just straight rushing. So playing out of the backfield like that as a catching back, having that role is actually going to make a difference. So I do like Gallman as well. I don't want to write anybody off. Another person that I really, really like, this guy, look at his last 2 games. All right, 8 targets apiece, 5 receptions apiece, a touchdown in each, 18.8, 17.2 fantasy points. This guy he's starting to have a flash from the past. He's looking like the old school Gronk. Now, if we just increase a little bit more on the target share, you would look like Gronk in his prime. Right now, I will ride that train while he's there. At 8K, it does make me feel he's priced a little high, but he obviously has touchdown equity. You can't deny a tight end in the red zone. All right, so I do like Gronk as well. Now, after going through that, let's check Buccaneers defense, 7,400. This guy is priced higher than any offensive player outside of Daniel Jones for the Giants. Every single one. So it boils down to, do you feel like the Buccaneers are going to have multiple turnovers and a defensive touchdown, massive amount of sacks to be able to equate to the production of a Slayton or a Shepard, or an Ingram or a Gallman? That kind of does that. Now, if you did want to be contrarian, you're trying to beat the field, and let's say the game does go that way, well, you're definitely going to beat the percentage of the field because the Buccaneers at 7,400 are going to be on a lower spectrum of percentage of ownership. All right, now, if I just went through and before we'll touch up on kickers. If you ever do a kicker, I don't mind having kickers in lineups because they can win. I would never recommend really doing 2 kickers unless it's an extreme defensive game, where on the Giants side I don't expect it to be. All right, so that's up to you. That's your call. I'm not against it. It's just not the way that I feel the game script's going to pan out. So, as in giving some core plays, I like Fournette, I like Brady, Gronk. Let's see, Tate. I like Golden Tate. Evans is undeniable, and let's say Shepard. So this would be essentially a lineup that matter of fact, I am 100% going to be running this lineup. Lock that in. I'm 100% going to be running this lineup. You will see it, and I can actually post a review for that on the next video pertaining to how we did on our Monday night schedule. All right, guys. So hopefully this was able to help you guys out. Until then, you guys stay blessed and have a good one.